今日咧5點鐘呢一個義講嘅時間咧，咁就由 Maria 係啦，係由 Maria 咧咁就講香港公民參與及可持續發展嘅。咁相信大家都學過通識科，即係上過通識堂，都了解可持續發展係咩啩？咁咧近年嚟都有非常大嘅爭議，例如第3條馬路究竟值唔值得需要起咧？咁究竟佢起咗係咪可持續發展咧？咁等等嘅問題 ，Maria 一陣間可能會同你哋傾下、討論下嘅。咁我哋依家就開始呢一個嘅義講嘅課題。好，歡迎 Maria。
好 ，thank you。大家點啊？攰唔攰啊？熱唔熱啊？班空氣回應其實今日好差嘅，係咪啊？喺呢度坐好似黑掹掹咁上下啦，我都係出邊好似唔可以睇嘢㗎啦。OK， 咁我係香港嚟咗香港好耐㗎啦，21年。我而家係城市大學教書，我嘅中文名係方翠琪，即係翠嗰個綠色嘅翠，琪係黃字邊嗰個琪啦。跟住咧，我係西班牙人其實。所以咧，希望香港政府唔怕西班牙政府對香港政府冇乜影響，我哋好窮㗎啦嘛。所以咧，係啦，我好希望你哋笑。我唔係英國人、美國人或者所亂嗰啲人啦，都唔係。所以咧，唔使怕，我其實係香港人啦，我可以係咁講。我係以前係港大讀書，喺嗰度學碩士同博士啦。咁而家係城市大學教書嘅，咁我當時咧即係教書我係政治嘅，即係 politics 咧。我有一陣間我都要講英文嘅，如果唔係咧，我 promise 我唔會講西班牙文，因為我覺得你哋比較即係，或者我可以唱歌都得，不過講西班牙文好難聽啊。跟住咧我當時咧即係講政治或者係搞政治或者係政治做研究咧，多數係環保嘅。跟住咧，我真係中意今日咧同你 share 係嗰個 public participation 關於喺香港 sustainable development， 即係 sustainable development 大家都係明白嗰個 concept 嘅。跟住咧，我想即係 public participation 唔係即係 political reform。我哋呢幾日啦，好似已經係即係我哋嘅腦好似係熱死嘅啦，已經係講咗成日都係無論係幾點。即係24小時同係7日啦，都係講 political reform。political reform 更係好緊要嘅事，所以我哋喺呢度嘛。我今朝都係城市大學教書，不過下晝都係 volunteer 做你哋教啦，因為我都係明白你哋一定要表達出嚟自己唔係好滿意嘅啦，即係香港政府係而家係唔係好滿意嘅啦。跟住咧，不過咧係 political reform 係一樣嘢 ，participation democracy 係一樣嘢。不過你 sustainable development 係點樣香港係治理？我哋點樣香港會唔會有咁差嘅空氣啦？或者係我哋治理可以係唔需要搭嗰個 Star Ferry 咧，可以係行去尖沙咀，因為冇曬鐵，冇曬海啦。或者係我哋係第3個 runway， 或者係第4個，唔知係已經係蘭州 Island， 即係第3會好似屯門一樣嘅啦。即係呢啲嘢都對我哋嚟講，特別係後生，我哋後生人啊，我都係後生嘅。我好似你哋咁後生，我哋都係好關心嘅啦。即係呢啲嘢係每日生活嘅嘢，我哋唔需要嗰啲老人家。琴日去咗探施政邊喺北京，我哋唔需要佢哋啦，嗰啲。之後或者係2-3年之後啦，佢哋已經係入咗天堂啦。我哋唔想佢哋過身啊。不過咧，我意思係我哋係遲啲我哋嘅生活，你哋嘅生活，或者係你哋嘅仔女嘅生活，即係會點樣？呢個係關於水、空氣、陸地，關於係 green belts 啦。所以我今日想同你哋 share 呢啲嘢係我都係有啲 passion，OK？跟住你哋可以問問題啦 ，OK？ 咁我哋 by the way 喺呢度咧有一個唔該 Tania 咧 ，Tania 咧係一個都係 volunteer， 我啱即係識佢。佢係如果你哋唔明我講英文嘅，跟住你都可以去做翻譯。 不過咧，因為或者我哋有一啲市民都唔係講廣東話，唔知係我嘅廣東話有少少好差嘅，即係歪咗，或者我講得唔清楚，跟住你 Tanya 可以做翻譯㗎啦 ，OK？ 如果需要，如果唔需要，唔知係 Tanya， 我哋睇下先啦，點樣 ？OK？ 不過好多謝 Tanya， 我哋 upload 係 Tanya。You want to introduce yourself？
我係Tanya歐，我今日都係第一次嚟做義工。不過其實Maria 講中文講得好好。
不過你唔可以繼續講啦。OK， 今而家我 shift 啦。OK， 咁今日咧嗰個題目我已經講咗啦，係 Public Participation to Sustainable Development in Hong Kong。OK， 咁 by the way， 我而家係即係 represent 自己啦，我唔可以講我係 represent 學校啦。我都冇，唔需要問校長，即係 Professor 威過，我可唔可以？我唔使啦嚇，自己 self-determination。不過咧，我講嘅嘢啦，唔係 CDU 嘅意見 ，CDU 係有好多意見，或者唔係呢啲意見啦。跟住咧，即係我自己嘅 Maria 嘅意見，但係呢度有啲仲線，有啲仲學 ，OK， 所以我哋繼續。OK， 今少少 outline 啦，呢個好悶嘅啦，我哋平時老師教授啦，我哋都係會 provide 你哋係啲 outline 啦。第一個咧 ，of course， 如果我哋想即係講 public participation 或者 sustainable development， 一定要介紹係乜嚟㗎啦，係 concepts。第二個咧係 community participation for sustainability 係乜嘢嚟㗎，都要介紹啦。第二個咧係 community participation in practice， 即係第一個咧係 theory ，theory 我哋覺得 theory 我哋大家唔係幾中意 theory， 不過一定要有 theory， 即係呢個生活都要有啲 general concepts 係可以介紹，無論係點樣，係邊度，係嘅時間都係要做 concepts。practice 咧係我今日會介紹嗰啲 cases in China， 因為今日我哋講香港。嗰個咧，我想介紹同你哋知係有啲 cases in Hong Kong， 跟住咧有啲 implications for citizens。OK， 點解我哋而家有啲 disagreement in the society between some of the developments that are being proposed by the government or by the developers and the ones that we want? What is the Hong Kong you and I want in the future physically, also psychologically, also spiritually, also politically, okay? And then we will talk about some debates, okay? 即係咁，第一個咧係呢個好就密嘅 cartoon 啦，即係幾得意嘅啦，我覺得係即係 engaging face to face 嚇，我成日都同啲同學講啦，我唔想 compete with Twitter and Facebook 啦，我想見你 face to face 啦。OK， 西班牙人我哋比較 personal 啲啦，我哋係好，即係你知道咧，我哋西班牙人好 straightforward 咧，做 affectionate 咧，我哋好中意走密啦，即係有密，即係講笑啦。仲我哋係比較可以表達出嚟我哋嘅意見，仲我哋都係打招呼啲人都係會對你哋中國人嚟講好核突啊！不過咧，我哋係咁嘅啦，唔係 sexy 嘅嘢，呢個係 affection 嘅，即係 love 嘅 ，OK。跟住咧喺呢度可以睇啦，係 engaging face to face, heart to heart listening， 呢個係 public participation 嘅，即係 public participation people who engage other people in public participation， 佢哋嘅 EQ 一定要好高嘅啦。我覺得咧呢個係。CY， 你而家聽唔聽我講乜嘢？唔緊要，佢多數係好忙，聽唔到。跟住另外意思係而家我覺得咧有啲問題喺香港，即係 governance 嘅問題，唔係 government but governance 嘅問題咧係 EQ 比較低啲嘅啦。IQ 我唔使講，即係 IQ 唔使講，或者唔識講，多數係 OK 啦。阿 John 你好，不過你 EQ 比較低啲。如果你想 public participation， 你一定要係做人做得好啲，望住人啦，望住個女仔啊，好似好 attentive 咧，咁呢個人好似好攰啦，呢個人好開心啊！喂Hector 我嘅重視啦，係佢係一個好叻嘅教授啦，因為佢係 philosopher 咧，呢個係好緊要嘅 EQ 係好。所以咧 public participation 一定要係我哋有少少講 public participation 係乜嘢 consultation、communication、partnership、participation 有少少咧，我哋講呢啲嘢啦，好似嗱啦聲咁樣啦，話你即係好似係 PR 嘅 public relations 冇啦，我哋 we must mean it，OK？ 所以咧，其實有啲 difference between participation and consultation and extending your hand to somebody else, reaching out 呢啲係分別，所以我哋而家可以介紹 ，OK？How can these processes of public participation help achieve sustainability? Okay. So, participation is about citizens. Okay, it's about citizenship. 呢幾日啦，我有少少聽我哋嘅政府嗰啲人或者係其他人講 members of the public. I hate to be called a member of the public because what is a member of the public? What is the public? The public is and a member of the public 係咩嚟㗎？我唔係，我係市民，我係 citizen， 因為咧 I belong to a city， I have the right to manage my city， to determine the future of my city。呢個好大嘅分別，即係 citizenship to public to members of the public 係好唔同嘅。Okay， so participation is about citizens. It is about citizen participation, and therefore it is very much about empowering. Empowering, you know, sometimes we political scientists, we define power as who gets what, when, and how, right? This guy, he must be a student of public politics. Hello. So who said this? Laswell, right? Harold Laswell defined power as who gets what, when, and how. This is power. Empowering citizens is giving citizens the right to control their own lives, okay? Because they have reached a consensus among themselves, or because they have sanctioned the prescriptions of a government, and therefore with their sanctioning were their agreement of what the government wants to do, the decisions the government wants to make, they have provided legitimacy. This is another important concept, okay? Participation is about empowering citizens, it's about citizens providing legitimacy to the people they have chosen as leaders, or to the people that put themselves forward as leaders, okay? These are important concepts, and don't take them for granted. Okay, now there is a guy here, whose name appears at the bottom, Mr. Einstein, who says, participation is about the redistribution of power, which enables the have-nots, citizens excluded from the political and economic process, to be deliberately included in the future, and this enables them to share in the benefits of an affluent society. Okay? So 我哋喺香港啦，即係你哋嘅媽咪爹哋咧，多數或者阿爺阿婆啦嚟咗香港，即係幾年前啦，你哋都喺香港出世，或者係有啲同學喺呢度外地直殺出世嘅，或者係外國出世啦。你哋嘅媽咪爹哋咧，或者阿爺阿婆啦，因為你咁後生，多數嚟咗香港有好多 opportunities。They were able to share the benefits of an affluent society。即係有啲人做勤力，即係如果你做得勤力，有機會啦。我哋而家問題咧係我哋覺得，或者我哋唔啱，我哋都唔知。不過我哋覺得咧，冇人係幾勤力，或者係我哋嘅機會冇咁多啦，係啦。所以咧，我哋覺得咧喺 citizens 呢幾日啦，我哋嘅 decisions 唔係我哋想，即係唔係我哋決定嘅 decisions。Not the decisions that are being made in this society. They don't seem to be the decisions that you and I want the society to make. Or the society is not being managed the way you and I think it benefits the majority, especially the have-nots. And by the have-nots, I don't mean the poor. I just mean anybody, the middle class, people sitting here who have a level of education, who in the future will be the leaders of the society. We don't feel we don't have enough opportunities. So, if you look at this ladder, which I prepared here, sorry, I think 我多數覺得係嗰個係好早嘅，所以冇諗係點樣，我都要講得即係大聲少少，希望冇咁大聲嚇。OK， 所以咧喺呢度咧係右邊有 eight rungs on the ladder of citizen participation。So 你可以喺後邊嗰度咧叫 non-participation， 即係 non-participation 係 manipulation 咧，即係 洗腦啦，即係政府用我哋洗腦 manipulate， 我哋好似 puppets 咧，而家係 turn to the right， 而家係 turn to the left， 而家你行得前邊，行得後邊，即係呢個係 manipulation， 或者係 therapy 咧，即係好似係按摩啦。你諗得唔清楚，咁我哋幫你按摩你嘅頭啦，你嘅腦啦，所以咧你諗得清楚啲，呢個係 more participation。第二個係 tokenism 咧，好似係你搭地鐵啦，有少少唔記得帶埋嗰啲八達通啦，你要買飛 token 係嗰個 token 係嗰個飛啦，即係 they tell you OK 可以即係 inform consult 或者 placation 唔使咁擔心啦，你哋唔使驚，我哋好 we have the answers 唔使 worry 咧，呢個係 placation。第三個咧係最高嘅 citizen power 咧係 partnership、delegated power and 最緊要係 citizen control。其實一個社會最好嘅社會，做 advance 嘅社會，比如諗有啲 European societies， 比如 Scandinavian countries 咧，即係嗰啲 participation 係好多啲 citizens， 啲政府係 servants of the people。嗰啲政府做政府嗰啲人係 serving the people. They don't think they have all the answers. They actually tap on the talents, on the ability of citizens to actually carry out the society. Think of Switzerland. In Switzerland, people make decisions by referendum. Every single decision, 無論係 waste charges 或者係 diminish the air pollution， 都係呢啲 decisions 全部都係 citizen participation。So 係 community engagement 係乜嘢啊？所以我哋而家知道係 participation 係乜嘢 ？Community engagement 有好多唔同嘅 definitions。第一個咧，我哋可以講 the process of working collaboratively with groups of people who are affiliated by geographical proximity, special interests, in order that issues that affect these people will actually help them to go through the process。呢個咧係好簡單，如果係我哋有好多 common interests 咧，我哋都係 participation 會容易啲啦，因為我哋已經有好多 common goals、common interests。第二個咧係 it all participation or community engagement involves partnerships, coalitions, associations, linkages from different parts of the community. The second definition, it really refers to compromise, to being able to engage people who have various different ideas. We have been trying to do that rather than polarizing society. What we are trying to do, hopefully, and I hope the government, both of Hong Kong and China, is not so suspicious about our intentions. What we are trying to reach is a common ground, a common compromise. We don't want to be told that they have all the answers. We want them to listen to us and then, ask our opinion. The third definition could be a process through which stakeholders, people who have an interest on a particular issue, influence and share control over the development and initiatives of their own countries or cities, or a process through which the views of all interested parties are integrated in the process of decision making. Okay? So you can see there are different levels of community engagement, and all the levels are important. It really requires listening, informing people, giving people, delegating power to people, and not patronizing people. I think what we feel these days, perhaps in Hong Kong a little bit, we feel patronized. We feel being treated maybe like 小朋友啦，好似我哋係有醫院嘅人。So we don't know anything, we don't have any idea, we are poor supplicants. Sometimes maybe we feel more supplicants than during the colonial period. And then, there are a few people who seem to know what is good for us, even though they don't really walk in the streets with us. They don't go to the Thai Python and drink the milk tea with us. They don't go飲奶茶。即係嗰啲老人家，琴日啦去咗北京見習近平，你覺唔覺得佢哋好唔好識香港 ？Do they really know Hong Kong? Some of them maybe yes, they are smart enough to actually sometimes walk in the streets. They don't sit all the time in the Rolls Royce, right? But some of these people don't really know Hong Kong very well. They know their homes, they know their clubs, they know their small circles. They spend a lot of time on holidays, expensive holidays, maybe in the nice offices. But do they really understand Hong Kong? Maybe some, I have to say yes. Some they do because they come from ordinary people. Maybe like us in those, thank you for the lights. I'm enlightened. Maybe this is from like us in Hong Kong Electric. 係啦，啱啱講咗佢啦，多謝你家先，有等你使唔使翻俾電費啦 ？Okay. So some people know the society, but some people are detached. Community engagement. Sorry. So the other aspect that I wanted to suggest to introduce to you is citizen empowerment. Citizen empowerment should be the aim of participation. Community engagement is not only about engaging the community, it's about empowering the community. It's about giving people the power to make decisions, the power of self-determination. Sometimes we call it the power to charter their future, right? That is, I think, what you young people want. Any process by which people's control over their lives is increased. What is happening to us these days, it seems to me, is our control over our lives is decreased. 我哋係由1997，我哋喺呢邊，而家好似係我哋而家係越嚟越低啦，越嚟越遠㗎啦。We feel that we are farther and farther away from the aspiration of participating in the government of the day through casting our votes, electing our officials. Looks like in 1997 our hopes were very high. Maybe we were very high then, and looks like we are going backwards. What is the reason? Is it our fault, the way we are dealing with issues? Is it the fault of the people in charge? Is it just fate? Is it our 風水唔係幾好啊？呢個嘢係咪真係啲風同啲水都唔係幾好？ But what is it? It could be many factors. It could be we are just unlucky. But it seems that we are going farther and farther away from being empowered, rather than being more empowered by that aspiration we all had in '97 by Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong. Looks like Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong 哇幾好啊！我哋而家唔需要嗰啲外國人好似我一樣啦，嗰啲鬼佬唔需要啦。而家我哋自己點知係哇？而家係越嚟越差㗎啦喎？點解咧？唔知我哋或者係做得唔啱，或者係佢哋唔夠 trust 我哋啦，或者係領導人喺香港領導人。第三個咧都係越嚟越好似唔啱，都係 EQ 嘅問題。Okay, so a transfer of control over decisions and resources. Now. Citizen empowerment can take place at distinct different organizational levels, through households to communities, and it really means an increase in influence and control through acquisition of knowledge and skills. All of these ideas are related to citizen empowerment. Let's carry on. Now, these are some universal examples. These days we are talking about real democracy, international standards of democracy, universal standards of democracy. Nico, universal definitions, this one comes from the United Nations, it's an international organization, right? Common forms of participation. You can take a look at this when you come home. You have access to this PowerPoint in your iPads. Information gathering, dissemination, consultation, participation. From top to bottom, the engagement gets stronger and stronger through different means, okay? You can look at it in your own time. But just let us look at consultation, for example, where decision makers listen to public views, external agencies define problems and information gathering process. And in a while ago, I will give you two examples that relate to the way that some decisions have been made in Hong Kong related to the future development of Hong Kong, which seem to be maybe not so sustainable. Another common form of participation, and this one is International Association of Public Engagement. This is also an international organization. Different forms: inform, consult, involve, collaborate, empower. As you can see, the ultimate goal for community engagement, for public participation is always empowerment. And you see, empowerment should not, people in charge of things. Your father and your mother in charge of your household, your teacher in charge of your classroom, the principal of the school, the taxaula, 阿爺係北京嗰啲咧，即係大家都唔使驚 empower the citizens。點解咧？因為如果 imagine if you are the type of guy who you think you can do everything by yourself， 即係你會就係死啦，即係你會好攰㗎啦。如果因你係死之後，你做老闆，你做茶輩，你做 messenger 咧，你要知 lady， 你洗廁所咧，乜都做啦，咁你要死火啦，你會好即係好攰㗎啦。So that's why we distribute tasks. We delegate to people different tasks. And in the end, we are empowering people to actually take responsibility for what they had been assigned. So if the lady who cleans the bathroom in your office or in the university, she's an expert in bathroom cleaning. And the lady who does the tea is an expert in tea making. And you think that the Haojian of the school is more important than the lady who does the tea or who cleans the bathroom? Absolutely not. Because if the bathrooms are ready, then 大家都係好唔舒服啦，係咪啊？ So we are empowering people by devolving responsibilities and tasks to people who become experts and who take responsibility and control over that particular task. And a government that is really wise and good and has a high EQ should not be afraid of empowering citizens this way. Okay? 我希望覺得冇咁快啊，不過咧我都要快，唔知有冇其他老師要講嘢。Okay, now who and when to engage? Of course, the timing of things is also very important. There is a time for everything. There is a time to laugh. There is a time to cry. There is a time to be here sitting in Tamar. There is a time to go home and have your dinner with your family. When and when, who and when to engage? Well, who to engage? All interested parties. Everybody who has a stake in something should be engaged, including people who are directly and indirectly affected, okay? Relevant government departments, the district councillors, NGOs, interest groups, the business sector. Who to involve? Anybody who has a stake, okay? Recently, I finished a project in SocREC May， 即係我哋 CDU 係好近SocREC May啊嘛，南山村係後邊，我哋係山水埗人，我都係山水埗住㗎啦。我係山水埗，即係大和平。你哋多數未去過大和平，你去過未啊？你哋中唔中意行山？我哋係白架山上面嗰度，以前係玉村嚟㗎，有好多馬騮啊，我哋喺嗰度住㗎啦。所以咧。即係我哋都係山水埗人。Recently I finished a project with the people in SocREC May, and to be able to carry out the project, we really had to involve the citizens of SocREC May. SocREC May 嗰啲市民多數係路人卡嚟㗎，真係窮啦，喺街市買嘢啦，每日飲茶啦、食粥啦嗰啲，即係。慢慢打麻雀啦，去 community centre 啦，呢啲人啊係好緊要。如果你聽 successful 係SocREC May做一個 project， 如果你冇 involve 呢啲人，你 involve 邊個啊？你 involve 即係邊個嘅？即係其他人都唔識SocREC May from the inside。So I learned so much Cantonese， also 好多粗口啦，講嘢而家唔講啦嚇。From my SocREC May residents and 山水埗嗰啲人啦，我都係好叻㗎，而家係買嘢係山水埗好叻㗎，我可以買好平嘅電腦啊，乜都買啦，呢個咧都可以買得唔止係假嘅，咁我講啦呢啲。Alright, so who else to involve? Vulnerable and minority groups. And we should always, when to involve people, start early. You know, sometimes I feel in the government in Hong Kong, sometimes I feel that, you know, when everything has been decided, then somebody says, oh, by the way, we must consult the citizens. 大次嘅啦，已經揭脫晒啦，冇呃人啦，唔使咁衰啊，係咪啊？所以咧，我哋有時 I feel like I'm being treated like a stupid individual, and I'm really maybe very stupid, but I don't need to be reminded of it all the time. Okay. Now, we should also carry on throughout the lifetime of a project. So, consultation is not 第一，即係初時 consult， 最後 consult， 中間都要 consult 㗎啦，因為有啲嘢係改啦，有啲嘢要變㗎啦 ，OK？ Continue at the implementation stage so that the public can also monitor and evaluate the consultation. I'm being reminded to be a little fast, okay? Now, need for participation in sustainable development. You can actually take a look at home. So, meeting essential sustainable development is about meeting the needs of the current generation without the future generations to be unable to meet their own needs. with such a goal, with such a definition of sustainable development, you really need to involve the community. So these are some examples of sustainable development and engagement, okay? And what is good public participation? Good public participation, let's see, Q&A ends at 6:15. Okay, hold on. Thank you, Tanya. So what is good public participation? So we can afford a prominent part, then of course they are the standard. So good public participation is about acquiring and maintaining popular legitimacy, facilitating a discussion that is ideological. So what kind of city do we want to live in? Focusing on fairness in the process, and make sure that the participation process is also conceptualized, and then ensure that there is good leadership and that the leadership is willing to compromise. Thailand, a good leader is not somebody that comes and tells you must do this. Rebellious, okay? When you're a child and your mother says, don't put the feet on the table when you're watching TV, at least that is how I was. And sorry, in my household we were 6 kids, so imagine everybody rebellious was a phone. Okay, so we must ensure that there is the leadership is actually willing to compromise. If the leadership is too strict, too narrow-minded, low EQ, high IQ, maybe low EQ 就係好低啊！你 EQ 冇 eye contact 乜都冇啦，我冇講呢啲人係曳嘅，或者係壞嘅，嗰個 EQ 係比較低啲。You are not willing to compromise, then you cannot be a good leader. Okay? I was thinking of giving an example of 肥版, but maybe we shouldn't talk about 肥版，因為好危險㗎啦。Okay? 我覺得肥版嘅 EQ 係好高㗎啦。或者 IQ 都係高，嗰個 EQ 好高。雖然大家都唔 care 佢係英國人或者係 colonial power 唔知，佢或者係講大話，不過佢 EQ 好高，大家好唔捨得佢啊！我冇講唔捨得佢啊，因為我都唔係英國人，或者係佢係壞嘅人。Remember the government in China cursed him for 1,000 years， 我覺得佢 EQ 高啲啦。Alright, so different ways by which different ways that in theory what we can discuss what is good public participation. That is in theory. In practice, what is good public participation in practice? Open community involvement. Making sure that your working methods are creative but also flexible. Just imagine, I can imagine the offices of Jack Ma, Alibaba, or the offices of Microsoft with Bill Gates, or there is no hierarchy. 大家都係一樣，喂，阿 Jack 啦，你講錯咗，呢個如果你 iPhone 係咁嘅錢，你會唔啱，你會嘥錢。If you can reach that level of confidence, of openness, of straightforwardness, speaking truth to power, what we say in political science, the ability to speak truth to power. Speak truth to power is very much appreciated by good leaders. A good leader that is surrounded by 渣人，即係 people who just 渣係啊，即係成日都係渣粒。咁 you don't know anything that is going on. You feel completely isolated. You feel like wow, I don't really know what is in the mind of these people. When you're surrounded by people who are 好老實，即係 honest people, then you feel empowered. All right. Dynamism, local expertise, fresh thinking. Present things in a realistic manner. This is power engagement in practice. Now, trends in Hong Kong, and I am afraid that I may not be able to go into the cases, but let's see. Trends in Hong Kong. Okay, I think this is a good summary of what is going on when it comes to public participation in Hong Kong. There is a raising awareness in political, environmental, and social issues, and these are some of the examples, and I was going to discuss 2 cases. Civil society is more active and more diverse. We have many different people here with many different talents, with many different qualities. People who are serious about living in Hong Kong and staying in Hong Kong, who want to really chart the future, okay? More responsive government, question mark. In my opinion, our government is weak. It's weak not because they are weak, because they are not strong in the way but it's weak because they are unable to reach out. Why they are unable to reach out, I cannot say. I only observe, okay? I cannot say, are they bad, are they indifferent? I think maybe their heart is sincere, maybe, but they are weak. Why are they weak? Because they are unable to reach out. Because there is lack of trust, and the trust has to be mutual, right? When you're dating a boy or a girl, you have to have mutual trust.如果係 trust 係 one way 唔 work 咯，一定要係 trust, okay? Introduce public engagement in a wider spectrum of society, more social involvement, okay? So there is a blurred division between general public and civil society. Everybody can become an environmentalist, okay? And I don't know if there is a public demonstration going on now. Okay, we can finish later. Some examples I wanted to give you of public engagement. This is one. Central Wan Chai bypass. Actually, we are sitting in the Central Wan Chai bypass, part of it. You can see still under construction from the convention center. They are still building a tunnel from Causeway Bay, from Victoria Park, underneath Victoria Park, and it comes out in front of the Star Ferry. Okay. The background, you can look at it yourself. You see where we are. This is the Eastern Tunnel, the approach to Hong Kong. This is the Central Plaza from Qingzhou. Existing harbour front. There are a few problems with the harbour front. If we don't have a platform， 我哋好少嚟呢度，係咪啊？玩下，因為你覺得好遠，你要過馬路，嗰個馬路又嘈又多車，呢啲人係每日翻工呢度都好唔方便，我覺得係唔係幾舒服啦。所以咧，as if we are not able to reach the harbour front. We are separated from the harbour front. So the whole idea of the central bypass was to connect us to the harbour front. And as you can see there is a highway, there is an empty lot which nobody can reach, a beautiful coastline, there is a Star Ferry, okay, it's still harbour front, but there are some strengths, there is the ferry, there is the Bauhinia, okay, other examples, Lung Mei Artificial Bathing Beach, examples of public participation also. We have been consulted a few times to develop a beach in Taipo. You know, these are some of the facts. What happens, the process, there are conflicting issues. On the one hand, some people say, don't touch Lung Mei Beach in Taipo because it has, you see all these crabs and fishes, shrimps, sea stars, sea cucumbers, 好多好細粒嘅嘢，係嗰度好靚嘅嘢，你揾唔到係另外第一笪地方啦。咁龍尾使唔使 make it into an artificial bathing beach？ 係咪太破？嗰啲人好中意喺嗰度游水，我唔覺得咧。泰國有好多 swimming pool 嘅。Okay. So, the process of engagement, actions, engagement methods of civil society. You can also take a look. This is in relation to ways that people engage with civil society. So the result of all this public engagement to the development of Lung Mei Beach is not positive. The beach is still there. Another example, Tai Long 1. Remember there was a place inside the country park that somebody wanted to build a very nice house and mansion. In fact, he already built it and the house is there. So what happened? There was very little public engagement. Some people opposed it. They say you cannot do that. People were not consulted. So questions that we have today, I'm sorry that I couldn't go into depth with these cases, but the whole idea is participation in environmental action can take many forms. It can be planned or unplanned participation, organized or ad hoc. And the question is also how does the engagement process affect the environmental outcomes? Okay? 咁我哋係好似係好多好有興趣嘅嘢發生喺上邊，你哋唔想繼續落去聽呢個嗱嗱聲嘅就係路人甲嘅個嘢。Okay, thank you。如果你哋有問題咧，可以問問題，唔該晒。
有問題可以答問嘅。
我哋仲有5分鐘或者10分鐘，好似係。
係有咩問題都可以發問嘅，係。
我想請問，你 speak in Cantonese？ 我想問你，你會唔會覺得香港有啲比較好嘅公眾參與嘅一啲個案例可以分享？如果冇嘅話，其實背後係啲咩問題咧
OK， 香港係一個好接番語嘅，即係你意思係，如果我覺得喺香港啲 public participation 係好，啲 process 係好。我頭先即係想講，或者係講咗，唔知係咪？我覺得咧係嗰個 potential 喺呢度，因為啲人有叻，好多人有好多 expertise， 即係我哋可以幫手係即係 develop our city the way we want it。But the process is not clear. The process is sometimes reversed. Sometimes we are being consulted after things have happened. Sorry. Sorry, I think he wants to translate the question.
The question is asking for a particular example where you have good public participation in Hong Kong.
Okay.
You get it?
Oh, you want to give an example of a good one? Okay. So I think maybe the development of the harbor after 1997, when there was an ordinance, legislation. In fact, at 12 midnight on the 30th of June 1997, there was something called the Harbor Protection Ordinance. 我嗰陣時，你知道陸共威係邊個㗎？我嗰陣時係一個好細個嘅立法會助理，即係我立法會埋呢度，以前係嗰度嘛，成日都係嗰度就嚟就去，有嚟就係幫手。So we went through a very thorough process of public participation on what people wanted the harbor to be and whether the protection of the harbor was important to people. And finally, just before midnight, we were able to, the Legislative Council was able to pass legislation. Now, to be able to do that, we had a group of people called the Harbor Concern Group, which was led by a lawyer called Winston Chu, and then there was, of course, Christine Law, and there were several people, and there were helpers like me. There was a lot of people that participated and said, we have to stop reclamation of the Victoria Harbour because the Victoria Harbour is an asset to the people of Hong Kong. It's like an icon, people love it. And that was a good process that brought us to a successful legislation. Afterwards, obviously, we have had challenges. Some of this reclamation seems to be perhaps contradictory to that ordinance. So that was a successful process as far as I remember. In other instances, there was no process, but we were also able to stop some of the things that we didn't want the society to be engaged with. One example, of course, will be La Famille Article 23, there was no public consultation. Suddenly it was almost presented to us by, you remember who? Regina Yip saying, you know, Bromley, we have to do this because, you know, there is a danger that in this society there will be some people who will be toppling the government. Maybe if there was Miss Antiolafat today in Hong Kong, maybe I cannot be speaking here to you because I will be considered maybe almost like a Tibetan monk about to create a terrorist attack in Hong Kong. So, and the other one was also national education. There was not much public consultation, but people immediately. So those are examples that when things are presented to the population reacts very strongly because they have not been consulted. So those are examples of poor public consultation. Thank you.
近年咧，香港其實社會嘅公眾嘅參與社會嘅程度咧，都係提高咗嘅。即係特別係喺好多香港政府好多好荒謬決定出嚟咗之後咧，即係公眾嗰個參政意識係更加強啊！但係咧，有啲人就會問啦，即係究竟而家係咪一個適當嘅時候去做一啲好激進嘅行為，例如佔領中環啦？因為其實佢覺得香港而家雖然冇民主，但係我哋仍然有好多嘅自由。仍然香港仍然一個好繁榮嘅社會，究竟而家係咪啱嘅時間佔領中環咧
？This is a very good question, okay? Because and the reason why I think it's a very good question is because what you said, Hong Kong, we do have freedoms. I mean, we can do what we want. We are here as long as we go through the process, we get permits. We can do this, and we should treasure this freedom. So if we press for too much public participation and too much freedom, you say, for example, then that will screw up, so to say, the freedoms that we have today. Is that what you mean? I think it's, but I was thinking of something and suddenly escaped my brain anyway. So maybe, Hector, can you help me translate that question again? Sorry, thank you. sorry， 唔好意思啊，有少少有啲字我都唔明。
What am I speaking?
English.
The question is about whether this is a good time to do something radical. So I think the question really is related to another one, which is the fact how much freedom we really have got now. So again, freedom is an interesting concept because, well, you may say that there is some kind of freedom which allows you to get access to some. You get it? So I shouldn't go into
Continue.
More and more people participate in social issues, but some people argue that Hong Kong have many freedoms, have freedom, but we don't have democracy. Some people will ask, is it the right time to occupy Central? Because we have a lot of freedom, but we only don't have democracy.
Right. Actually, the two things come together, isn't it? You cannot have freedom if you don't participate in charting the future or the present situation of your society. So you say that if we go too far in terms of doing things like occupy Central, and in principle, I don't think civil disobedience is illegal, but anyway, so that we will somehow damage the freedoms that we already have, and we will be worse off. That is what you mean. I think you have to have both, especially if you feel that your freedom is being threatened. And I think we feel maybe that the freedoms are being threatened because we feel that there is too much interference in things that were promised to us that we will be able to decide. And I say, it could be also our own fault. Sometimes I think, let us be honest here, that we have inflicted some problems in our own home, in Hong Kong, because the way we have handled things. And I don't mean us, I don't mean the government, I think it could be a combination of many factors. But I think, going back to your specific question, is it time to do something radical? I don't have the answer. I think we should continue struggling to say that we don't feel our dignity, and I think this is a question of dignity is being respected. We feel being cheated somehow, we feel being, it looks like every day the concepts are being redefined. I mean, you cannot have democracy with Chinese characteristics. There is no such a thing, you know. You cannot have capitalism with Chinese characteristics. You call it capitalism or you call it a farce. I think the point is that many people feel that maybe the society, I mean, some of the things that are being presented to us are really a farce. They are not true. They are not truthful. And then I think that's why people's intuitions tend to be very strong, and people feel discomfort, and people take action. The action people take, I don't want to make an evaluation of what is the proper action to take. I think we should continue in this way, rational, productive, you know, peaceful way, continue engaging with each other, because, you know, for me, although I engage with my students in the classroom, to me today is a fantastic opportunity to be engaged with people I've never met and who are interested in, you know, engaging with me. This is something, a process that should continue in the society. Thank you.
如果問問題咧，盡量可以嘅話就英文問問題嘅。
Okay, sorry. Hi.
I will ask in English, and we all know that Hong Kong we can say that have a well-defined civil society, and all at the same time the citizens has also have different interests or different view or some opinions on how should our society should be developed, and meanwhile, I think that the citizens may have limited opinions or views on that, because they may not be completely to know that other aspects. Because I want to ask that during these questions, how can we obtain a balance between different interest groups, and also because the sustainable development emphasizes the dynamic equilibrium between the social, economical, and also environmental aspects. So how can we prevent the influence of such kind of interest group will satisfy our next generation?
Thank you very much, very clear. So, you know, compromise, negotiation, being able to listen to other people's views, trying to reach a consensus. These are important elements in the development of any society. Number one is respect for everybody's opinions. I mean, respect, and perhaps this is also what we feel these days, that there is little respect. Respect for people's opinions is so important. My opinion is not better than yours, not better than yours, not because I'm this person or I'm more educated or wealthier or less educated because I'm a woman or a man, because I'm gay or I'm not gay. Everybody should respect each other according to their views, and then try to find common ground, a common ground that people say, well, we can compromise, so that we all together collectively will be better off. I think that's the short answer. Thank you. 係，仲有啊？
係因為時間所限，咁就可能係最後一條問題啦。如果一陣間有咩問題咧，都可以揾阿 Maria 嘅。係啦，你哋可以揾我係 CTU 嘅 website Public Policy Department 都可以揾我，有一個 nice picture，冇咁核突，好似今日好似好出汗嘅。OK， 咁係啦，多謝你，真係有時間喺呢度。如果你哋一陣間可以問 question 喺出邊嘅。The last question。哦 ，the last question， 即係。呢個男仔、女仔，你嘅女仔先。
Professor, do you think it is possible to have effective citizen engagement under a non-democratic system?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. I don't think so. I mean, you know, the thing is that what we are, the processes, you see, that is the thing I wanted to answer a question to this gentleman a while ago and I forgot. The colonial government in Hong Kong, to supplement the lack of democracy, established a whole system of advisory bodies. 因為咧，我哋每個市民可以 participate in the decision in the government of the day. So the colonial government surrounded itself with lots of different advisory bodies, which hopefully were representing different interests and different levels of the society. Of course, the advisory bodies most of the times have become like status symbols. If you're appointed to the advisory body on the environment, or you're appointed to you become a justice of the peace or advisory body of something else, it is because it's like, somebody is just scratching your back. But that is the point, is in a society in which there is no opportunity for us to choose the people that we think, and we may make a mistake, by the way. Don't think that the popular wisdom is always the best wisdom. So we may make a mistake, but at least we have a choice. We can choose a person to lead us, and we can also choose to remove that person. That's the beauty of democracy. In that kind of society, public participation is easier, because then you take responsibility for the people you have selected. But when you want to have engagement with the population and public participation, but you don't have the choice of the people you want to engage with, then it's very artificial and very cumbersome and very complicated. And as I said, we have this democracy deficit in Hong Kong that sometimes is being supplemented by all this big array of advisory bodies. So I find it is very difficult. It's a contradiction in terms. Thank you. Okay, thank you. 多謝你，即係而家要食飯啊、飲嘢，即係有啲市民都喺出邊，即係好支持我哋。多謝你，即係或者係舊手喺出邊等，或者係其他嘅市民，多謝你哋，唔該，拜拜。咁今日6點呢個就會總結咗。